Like in every playthrough, we wake up on the Nautiloid with a worm in our heads and a voice that tells us to kill, kill, kill. Going into the next room, I go to everyone's favorite starter Pokemon, us. But the urges in my head tell me to completely shatter it. So I kill him with pleasure. After my urges are satisfied for a while, I approach some new kind of frog species. I try to talk to her, but apparently she's mute in my playthrough. The battle commences and I instantly yeet her off the Nautiloid because she just isn't musical enough for me. Me and my violence power is enough to get rid of these useless imps that are in the room. Making my way into the next room before I actually even try to help this goth girl, I slaughter some of the corpses for their blood. When I get to the cockpit, a massive battlegrounds between demons and Squidwards is commencing. I decide to play a bit of music for them before connecting the transport and getting the fuck out of there. I somehow live through the explosion and my first thought is about killing someone. I see the black-haired mistress and wake her up since I would never do anything to a woman. Few meters from Shadowheart lies the spirit of Lae'zel, which I gladly resurrect, and we all skip the encounter with the brains since I am the only one that can do any damage now. I loot the chest and fight one of the biggest urges that is cutting this hand from the sigil. But unfortunately I will need this dude that's stuck in there, so I kindly help him. With his enrollment into our party, Shadowheart levels up and starts to multiclass to a bard with Vicious Mockery, Blade Word, Thunderwave and Whispers. And laughter. And heroism. Playing on a flute. Then I stumble upon a dehydrated husk that wants water in order to survive. So I give him the cold heel of my boot. This wanderer gives me enough XP for my other characters, so I will no longer need to be the only one dealing damage. But then I look at damage of Vicious Mockery, and it doesn't look good. I myself took Bane Spell, Lae'zel's got Hand Drum for an instrument, Gale's got the Lyre, and the True Strike, just cause it's so fucking OP. I then approach next companion and the perfect one for the evilness of this game. I mean, looking at which characters are evil and who are not, Astarion is the most evil. I feel like Shadowheart is also evil because of Shar, and Gale is just a gullible soy boy. Astarion's got the loot instrument and we could finally go and kill some mind consumers. And here comes the part of Vicious Mockering them to death. In few rounds I felt like I didn't want to use spell slots, so I needed to endure through my party dealing 1 damage to them. After what felt like few hours of mocking these little fucks, I make my way to the grove where massive battle rages. Our homie starts blasting the goblins into oblivion and Zevlor holds the high ground to take green scums. After going through the gates, we sucker punch the soy boy that we helped at the gates and proceed to trade with the local midget for gold. I convinced the mad tiefling to stay to make my future master plan of execution be more satisfying. I make quick friends with Will and make fun of Redface for not being able to hit the target properly. I steal a ring from a poor child and I wander to another NPC which I think fits this playthrough the most, Volo. He asks us about the things we have seen at the gates and we start to tell biggest fake stories we could have said to him. Before I went to Nettia I took the elevator, but inconveniently a squirrel was in my way. And even if I had the choice, I would have still murdered him. I was on my way to try and save the tiefling for later murder, but some sneaky assassin was in front of me. So it was better to take his life instead, and that wasn't an ordinary task as my party still has no fucking spells that deal damage, only the useless fucking mockery. So in the process of killing him, Gale trips over and falls downhill dying, and letting me see the cutscene I have never seen, because who the fuck plays with Gale in his party? Like, tell me. But in this playthrough I need to have him for at least Act 1. So I play the flute and get the resurrection scroll to not use it, since I don't need to waste it on him now. I wandered into the druid's cave and was met with a dilemma of saving an innocent child or letting the snake take life of it. And I mean, I hope you guessed which one I picked. I tried to talk to convince Kaga to fuck off from the tieflings, but she just put her greasy balls on my offer and told me to fuck off. The first healer I found offered me to kill myself if I wanted a cure to the tadpole. By the way, if you thought I forgot about the blue jay here, I didn't. I also lied about that Arabella is still alive, cause why not? Later wandering the grove I found the friendliest tiefling I knew. We became friends and she taught me how to play an amazing song. I hope she will do well in the future. But now was time to bathe in the sun, and how coincidentally a beach was nearby. And a kid. And my demise. So I quickly packed my stuff and went from there. I'll help him sometime. Making my way back into the grove, I found a standoff at the cage. Prisoner looked suspiciously helpful with being evil, so I let her get out. Listen to Gale waffling about some bullshit and free Zaza from her chains. But before we escape to the goblins, I get the biggest urge to just break someone's legs until they die of agony. And coincidentally, there is a tiefling sitting in a magazine. It would be just so sad if she never took a breath again. robbing the warehouse was just a side quest. We have a stroke whilst escaping with Zaza and lose the fight in the first time due to me still not having full bars in my party. I decide to have a long rest and see Astarion laying down as if he would be in some kind of whorehouse or something. After the long rest, the goblin scum are no challenge for the party, so we clear them and let Zaza get out. After the fight we get level 3. I choose College of Swords for myself and my other hobos just get level 2 into Bard. I decide that this is the perfect time to kill the skeletons and get withers and then respec them all to bards, so I place my minions in place, steal the swords from piles of corpses and started the fight. As I said, they pose no threat now that we are level 3 and the fight goes smoothly as a sliver. I quickly romance withers into joining our camp and go to respec the other buffoons. As Wolfgang is a duelist with a rapier like a very honorable fighter, Astarion will cut enemies with poisoned weapons whilst dual wielding them. I think that fits him a lot. I also gave him College of Swords. Shadowheart gets College of Lore to buff us and deny enemy spells from our backline, and the soy boy gets College of Valor, which, to be honest, I think is just a jack of all trades but a master of none. So technically he can do anything, but he's just shit at it. I will decide what to do with him later on, but he'll just be a College of Valor now. Then it takes me a minute to organize the shit amount of spells they got because I have self-diagnosed OCD. I just have to fucking set the spells in the correct order. And I'm not gonna bore you with it, but I cleaned all of the ruins, sold my junk to the local midget. I proposed to Zevlor to assassinate Koga, which he approved of, and so I was off to brutally murder that redhead bitch. Whilst it takes ages for my company to take her life, the grove burns in battle. And you might ask, why do you think it took ages? Because that fucking tieflings managed to eradicate the druids before I could even get chance to show my newly learned musical skills. At least I looted the grave freely and talked to Zevor about this fight, which resulted in him getting my trust. Oh, if he only knew what's about to come. On my way to the beach I get caught by Raphael. I tell him to piss off, steal his bread and proceed to find the kid we wanted to save. But we were still not matching their power, so I guess I will leave it until later. Surely nothing happens. My party finally fucks off from the grove and go on adventure, and quickly we find a midget laying with seizure and 2 of his accomplices. I use my wormy pies so that they go the fuck away so I can on the parasite inside of his head. Wolfgang decides that he wants a bit of hiking at detours on a giant mountain which he finds a spider grenade upon. He goes back onto the original path and finds the 2 cowards in front of Owlbear's cave. We gang up on the Owlbear mama and then we have to choose to kill the pup or spare it. And taking a longer time, and I mean about 5 minutes debating if I should kill it or not, I let it live. I loot the cave, have a heated argument with Shadowheart and proceed to the goblin camp. I talk with Astarion about zoophilia, find Aradin and his boyfriends, and still proceed to the camp. But I take a long rest in the blighted village nearby and a familiar face comes to our camp. She wanted to come with us and play music, which we agreed to. Surely nothing can happen with an innocent tiefling, right? Oh, no, please, no. Wolfgang admires his art and doesn't even hide the body because it's just so perfect in its current form, which leads to the party members being in awe with this masterpiece. After I long rested IRL, I was off to loot the spider cave. But when engaging the matriarch, my company's kidneys failed and it destroyed us, but after reloading and using the tactician skills of destroying web under the matriarch, I take the gem, loot more of the village and make my way to the necromancy of Thay, which I then give to Astarion to make his dick bigger, and for some reason my brain gets aneurysm and forgets to get shoveled, or bucketed, whatever you want to call him. I decide to take a long rest and the urges tell me to take a walk, on which I found a suspicious looking goblin that gives me reward for my masterpiece. Shadowheart reveals her secrets and we find Scratch on our way. Wolfgang lets him smell his hand so he will join us in future. And since both Karlach and Will leave after we side with Minthara, I decide to take Will on a trip to kill Karlach and at the same time help the Paladins of Tyr. And we make a top show after killing her. I present her head to Anders just so I can betray him and get a free sword. I loot some more trash and go to Goblin Camp where I meet Zaza and her squadron. She presents me to Minthara, who connects Miles with us, and the first time I wanted Zaza to live because she helped us, but I quickly reloaded the save and made her bite the curb. Minthara offers us to help her slaughter the grove, which I accept since we technically already cleared it, and Wolfgang knows what Minthara is good at. Then we get branded from Priestess gut and drink her healing potion that magically transforms us into a slave with a chain on our hands. Haha, a weird heal. Then another midget comes, guns blazing, and saves Wolfgang from the chains. And since he is such a greedy son of a cuck, he loots everything and somehow lands in the Underdark, which gave second platoon of brain diseased soldiers a level up. I gave some spells and feats and robbed another another local midget. After the scammer, Lae'zel decides to try and cut her throat, but we convince her that she is mental and she stops. But then the real abomination interrupts my sleep. After the horror stops, I get the diabolical urge to consume some of the tasty worms I've been collecting on my journey. I convince my palms to make a worm G and let the psycho spank me to impress Shadowheart. And by the way, I help our bard colleague, which offers to help us with our disease. With my magical charismatical skills, I convince Dror Lagslin that I'm just a tourist as I continue to plunder his entire stronghold of golds and riches. I get completely lost whilst trying to find Halsin, but I finally find him and throw rocks at him with kids beside me. My comrades express sadness, but I felt nothing when I killed him. Other than happiness, of course. On our adventures, we wander south. Gale asks for artifacts to and we find an innocent lady harassed by two younglings. We help the poor grandma, which escapes by letting out a huge fart. My party makes their way to Muddy Archipelago to kill Mephits and find evidence for Koga just after killing her. Whoops! Guess I should have come here sooner. On the way to the lady's house, we talk to a sheep that is actually a red-capped Jew under a disguise. A local merchant is looking for a Starion, but we let him take action in this matter, which ends up in us killing the poor merchant. We finally get to the lady's hut and she reveals herself as a hag and offers help, which we gladly take, giving up Wolfgang's left eyeball, and you will see in a minute why exactly left eyeball. As hags do, they only fulfill part of their promise, so she rips my eye out and doesn't cure my disease at all. So we decide to go after her and get our revenge. On the move, we get speed bumped by masks of hag and poisonous gases. We beat her across the slimy and greasy ass she has through some bug, I think, since she was only attacking one of my mates. When she had no more HP, she begged us for mercy, but we struck a deal that she releases the blondie and gives us the herb. I steal everything from the hag's lair, get beaten up by Jews, refuse to give Connor back to Marina, and take a long rest in which Mizora rewards Will for being a good cuckold and gives him an infernal rope. Which I steal off of him. Dream Visitor medals in affairs again, but before I wander out of the camp, I let Volo perform a lobotomy on me. And that was the reason I gave up my left eye for the hag. I wanted to make Wolfgang blind, and I knew Volo takes your right eye. But unfortunately my theory was overthrown since Wolfgang didn't want to be eyeless. So I reloaded and made Astarion's right eye superior. We leave the camp and free Black Gnome, who tells us about another Black Gnome that is held captive. And after a few steps, Gale almost sucks us into his chest. Journey continues through the broken bridge as we approach the Knolls first, and then unleash murder upon the bloated hyenas. But finally we meet up with Papa Gnoll and raid some merchants hiding in the cave, only to betray him too and collect all the souls I can. I forgot what the thing in the chest does, unleashing the "you have been defeated" screen and making me kill all of the gnolls again. I then follow a path that leads to Floric, free her and get the best wand for magic missile build. There is a trapped man on the second floor of the other building, but I deceive him so he tells me where his wife is so I can get laid for free. After I use her, we head off to the Zentarim, and with a bunch of deception I convince them I'm just a trader, but in fact I acquire a slave for myself. Wolfgang decides that it's enough of the peasant and he heads off to the frog people on the way to the mountain pass, but judging how my companions reacted to the meeting, I packed my stuff and left to finish the grove with Mentara. But before that I take a visit to Lump and take a long rest in which I drink wine with the lovely Shadowheart that ends up in us making out. After we regain our spell slots, we join a rather unfair battle of the Druid Grove, after which Minthara forces us into long rest again to have another night of pleasure. We have fun together, and as I'm about to snap her neck, I stop myself since she's another evil companion I will get in Act 2. In the morning she almost kills me, but I talk sense into her mind and we part ways for now. With the things on land cleared for a while, we dive into the Underdark, grab Falar Aluve, blow up in front of some mushroom man and euthanize a black gnome. The Mushroom King orders us to kill Dwergars, which I gladly accept. And then we strike a deal with a red skin and have a small talk with the Illithid next to him. We trade with another midget and decide to help Glut in avenging the mushrooms, but before we go on the Dwergars, we erase 90% of population of Underdark with the help of Glut, and after not being able to catch Bullet, I just revive Hook Horror as a walking fungi and level up to level 5, we go to face Dwergars. The battle is tough, but we manage to kill all of them without having to reload the game. We take bunch of shot rods through our bard spells and are 100% again. And fortunately the Hook Horror died in combat, so when Glut decides that his regime should rule upon the other mushrooms and we deny it, he tries to kill us, but he perishes as did the Dwergars. We report to Spa and he makes us a mercenary, giving us another target to kill. Wolfgang needs to take a break from the Underdark and makes a final stride to the beach to finally save the kid. I guess I wasn't fast enough. After feeling bathed enough, we continue into the Underdark, and whilst making our way to the Arcane Tower, I get lost and get dragged into some sort of cult of blood and overthrow their current leader by convincing the fish that it's just some Jew under a disguise. I resume the adventure with going into the Arcane Tower and plundering it. We find a book about talking to Bernard and become friends with him. After which I throw him out of the window, but he doesn't seem to be bothered by it. We make our way to the Bald Legion of Grimforge, sell them all our junk, and then encounter our old friend Barkus that needs saving again. And after I reload for like 30 times because these idiots kept running into the explosive I was throwing, we finally get near out. And as this is the evil run, we side with him. And oh boy, fight against the Bald Legion is difficult to the point I'm ripping my fucking hair out because someone gets thrown into lava or Nier is just obliterated by the dwarves. But with the use of their own scummy tactics of throwing people into the lava or lining up my allies before the fight begins, we finally kill the little fucks and get Nier's approval. Which after I google is so not worth it because I lose the Spa quest, Barkus as an ally and Nier's loot. But hey, I'm just glad I'm evil. We get obliterated by the Sharan traps, but with Scratch's help we get lightning charges armor. Shadowheart starts waffling, but we just look at her thinking of how we could carve her body in the night. Sharan Temple holds a couple of enemies that are in a room behind the door, so I cast a cloud of daggers in an old-fashioned style, I would say, and I let the people inside bleed to death when trying to approach me. Parkouring our way through the Grimforge, we get to the actual forge with few armors and the giant fucking machinery that obliterates everyone who stands in our way. Before killing him though, I close Baldur's Gate 3 and apparently boot up Minecraft since I need mithril ore to craft some nice thing. I need to disable a few blazes before doing so, and then I boot up Baldur's Gate 3 again. Now you see, the machinery guarding the forge is big and hard as fuck. Me being an intellectual and wanting to cheese it with using a druid dropping as Owlbird to one-shot it. But first, I wasn't level 6, and second, being a druid isn't being a bard, so that idea was abandoned. And I could have just used the Grimford itself to crush his head into the ground, but I was hunting for an achievement of killing him without using it, so it was also scrapped. As I don't think I would be able to kill him without the forge, so I chose the ultimate strat of camping up top and shooting him. But here is the problem. He needs to be superheated, and he's not, because he keeps fucking standing on the normal surface. So with throwing Wolfgang down and making thousands of maneuvers with him and Scratch, it takes about 70 turns to take the big boy down. At least I got me an achievement. I crafted Rapier for Wolfgang and Short Sword for Astarion, and made Sassy Dagger for me as I'm starting to shift to being a dual wielder just like Astarion. I help a bald-headed dwarf in the Underdark and intimidate his wife to give me a ring for Night Orchid. We take long rest and find mushrooms for Omelium to make a potion for a headache, which only strengthens it. And after routing back to the Spectator and restarting for like 7 times because this fucking flying shit uses 20 actions per turn, unpetrifying drowns, stunning me and completely destroying me, this is one of the most hated fights in this game for me. But after killing him and burning to crisp, we level up to 6th level. And with that is the last thing we have to do is the Githyanki Patcher and their crash. And I was like, yep, level 6, we're gonna wreck them. Nope. We in fact got smacked again. I'm starting to feel like it's either my tactician skills that are lacking or me choosing like the worst fucking equipment possible for my comrades. But after buffing the party before the fight and using Scratch, we managed to barely beat them, and I decided to play up and switch the skills at Withers. I changed Gale into more of a melee buffer since I had no idea how to use the College of Valor. Going into the mountain pass, I stumbled upon a lady that wanted fresh eggs, so I fooled her into giving me cash first, then bringing her an egg. After talking with her, I thought it would be a great idea to find another Spectator now, which I somehow did, but I didn't save and went straight into the Ghouls and Death Shepherds, bringing Armageddon upon my party. I had to reload the game before the second Spectator. So I gave him round 2 of smacking and destroyed the Death Shepherds with use of truly disgusting tactics of blading them to death with Cloud of Daggers and multiple flourishes from my melees. On our final step to the Githyanki crash, an old cheese-eating wizard tells us a great story about Gale of Waterdeep and how Mistra wants Gale to blow himself up. Before getting into the crash, I respell all my characters and switch my dueling style to double wielding. With the newly acquired spells, we clear rats from the temple and get onto solving the puzzle to ease the way of getting the Blood of Lathander. The Guardian of Faith takes half of my frontline's HP, but it was still enough to clear the whole division of alcoholic kobolds that were hiding in a room next door. We talk with some eagles if they can move because they block one of the weapons for Blood of Lathander, but after taking it, they turn on us. So to satisfy my urges, I break every possible wing and bone in their fucking body to show them who I am. Wolfgang claims the crest and we head to the final thing left in Act 1. The frog people. The tricky part of this is that there is so fucking many of them. But with all the buffs of being a bard Wolfgang has, plus our intimidating mask and Hug's buff on intimidation, he's able to make everyone's dick flaccid and get wherever he wants. I wanted to fuck up the painting of a frog, but slipped on a banana and fell whilst painting the picture, which resulted in fucking it up even more. Then I made a visit to their healer to get the worm extracted, which also failed and made the doctor hostile to me, but we intimidated her again and she backed down. Although I needed to feed on another worms as I didn't have any in such long time, so I stole few of them which she didn't like, so we put her to sleep for a while. And when she sleeps I expand my mind to the worms to get even stronger. After wandering through the crash, my party gets to the hatchery in which a single egg is hatching. I talk to another frogman if I can touch the egg and raise it, which surprisingly he approves and gives me boots of stepping into acid. But he pulls a trick on me and tries to kill me, so I tried to put him to sleep, but my build forced him to an eternal sleep because of the poison. I exterminate the last of hatchery guards and steal the egg. Before our encounter with Inquisitor, we go to the training grounds, but I can't manage to convince Githyanki, so he cuts his head off. I piss off from the training grounds and sell them their own junk. I TP out of the crash to give the egg back to the women and TP right back in. With a bit of hard work and fighting, we clear them and make final step into the chamber of blood of Lathander. But first, there is a little speed bump on our way. The fucking Inquisitor himself, with Vlakid on his side. The first time the battle starts, I roll a horrible initiative and basically die in the first 2 turns. Next try, I buff myself with Elixir of Bloodlust, Bless, and with the use of my greatly evolved Worm Brain, I cast a speed potion but couldn't get to the cutscene fast enough to still have the buff, so I end up lethargic when the fight starts. Yep, a great tactics I thought of myself. So I loaded it up again and made the same preparation but already inside the chamber. But I still lost because of this fucking roll initiative, throwing Gale and Shadowheart to the end of the turn. Whilst destroying my keyboard, I thought of scrolls and items I had. So with an army of 2 Mephits, Scratch and Connor, we finally take the Inquisitor down and face the Queen Vlakid. We tell her to piss off, loot the place, go to Astra Prison with no intention of killing my sexy abomination and get to the blood of Lathander. We take it without blowing the crash, and before we get to the mountain pass, Kithrak comes to parley with us. If I wanted, I could have slain him right there, but I've just let Laser take care of this since I was too tired of dealing with these disgusting frogs. She waffles something about heresy, and after telling them to fuck off, we finally get to Act 2. The adventure continues into Act 2, where we decided to take the mountain passway as our future psycho wanting to rule the world Girfriend has requested us to do so. Some peon tells us to take the torch or we won't survive the shadow curse. I exquisitely tell him a story that we are in fact the bestest true soul in the musical universe. But his peasantry doesn't let him understand what we said. Just few meters in, Shadowheart waffles that she is immune to the dark cloud, but I put in my earbuds and listen to some Mozart. And when she's finished, we go to the nearest outpost where another peon is wanting the dog to kill itself. And I can't stand how he's treating the hyena, so I force this stupid little shit to fetch the bone himself, as no one is going to hurt fucking animals, and I also want to see his green ass will be consumed by the shadow curse. I then go and look how it went with fetching and make a totally justified kill on the little shit. I see chest in the distance and I'm now totally interested as my greedy hands wants to lay themselves on every possible treasure they can. I get surprised by some Viet Cong assassins though that protect the chest, and the musicians, well, their asses get beaten harshly. But unfortunately my brain wasn't functioning well and I didn't save, so I lost about 15 minutes of doing this shit again. This time I spoke with the Uruk-hai first, that came straight from the Lord of the Rings, and then went for the chest with a proper save. And as this wasn't an honor run, I haven't given alert as the first feat. So the next 3 times I go to steal the chest and get fucking surprised by these Vietnamese. But on the 4th time I buff with Bardic Inspiration and cast a counter jump to not be surprised, which worked. This time it wasn't any problem with killing them, because I don't know why, they never really moved and were just standing there waiting for the beating. I returned to the Saruman's creation and pluck a tune to summon one of the most disgusting and religious NPCs I've seen in this game. The whole time he is mumbling, I'm thinking of how can I get a hold of a Moonlighter myself. And I fucking swear it's possible, but after restarting 2 times and looking for a dialogue to make him kill himself, he just fucking refuses to do so. So I just get into the convoy and we head to Moonrise. On the way to the towers, we get ambushed by a few random dudes that call themselves Harpers. But it's not the time to be a hero and help them. The point of this playthrough is to kill as many people as I can and rip out every possible rib from their body, stuff it into a wall of trophies, and impale their heads on a stake. so I help the convoy. I take a big pleasure in killing these heretics. That is not a big problem since they are just little harpers and I have the power of music by my side. And let's not forget the giant spider walking right next to my ass. I ask how the harpers could be in the dark without the moonlight there, but Carnage shuts me down by saying that we have the power of God on our side. We level up to 7 and give freedom of movement for Wolfgang, confusion for Shadow Bitch, and fear for both Soyboy and the vampire. And we continue the passage. The journey is fucking long and boring, but we finally make it to Moonrise, where everyone meets us as we would be the second coming of Jesus or something. The guards tell us to go into this giant hall for some great show, but before I get deeper into the Moonrise, I trade it to get much more better experience than the trash I had on myself until now. And of course, all of this was done with the fine gentleman Lantar, as the midget next to him only wanted to scam me. After I spent a fortune on armor and weapons, I head into the great hall, and when they said great show, I expected a fine orchestra with a bunch of organs and a great symphony, with a few burning on a stake for entertainment. But apparently the Absolute had plans to kill my soon-to-be wife Minthara there. I managed to convince Santa Claus to spare Minthara and get her into chains, but I have fun destroying these little shits as if I would be Darth Vader choking them to death. Straight after this, I head to the prison to save our lovely drow. Wolfgang deceives them that he is there to take action and connects with Minthara's brain. We get teleported to some kind of limbo where Minthara is getting tortured. She tells us that she prayed we would come, and we strike a plan to erase the sisters that were tormenting her. Together with Minthara, we killed the 2 sluts, and I quickly had to take out the eye so it wouldn't call in for reinforcements. When we butchered them, I swapped crossbows with Shadowheart because I was like, damn! Those 2 little hand crossbows work really well, so she got the bow of the Banshee instead. And I swear, as in every fucking video I saw, where people just teleport out of the Moonrise with Minthara, I just fucking couldn't. So we had to break out another way, and it was kinda pointless to bash our heads on the wall trying to kill every guard of Moonrise to get out by the front door. So we head to the deeper prison. We kill another eye and the guard, and at the same time a strange looking bald fella that looks suspiciously like a total asshole to the Gunsdians, and the dead Barkus talks about making an escape. We decide to help him break out because we also need to get out. We agree to bring him his hammer, which ultimately makes my brigade face the warden, which proves to be a pain in the buttocks by making her so fucking visible all the time. And for some reason, Astarion's eye proves to be a fucking scam by Volo. Rest of the fight takes place on the upper floor near Wulbrand's hammer. She gets out of the invisibility, and we cut her and shoot her with arrows until she can't stand on her feet anymore. We rob the place, get the hammer for the gnome, and then we open his cell and get out the boat together with him. The roaming takes us to a place called Last Light Inn, in which, we are not so kindly accepted by the looks of it. But some black-haired Jesus comes to say that we are only there to help them. We talk with Jaheira so she won't kill us, and Minthara thanks us for the rescue, offering her services, which we accept, of course. We go to the camp. I strip Gale of all of his armor and weapons since he's officially fucking useless in this run, unless I want to blow up the brain later on. But I do it to prepare the stuff for Minthara's involvement in the party. I then spend a solid 10 minutes listening to Minthara talk about Ketheric, the Absolute, and how much she wants to ride us again. I quickly take a peek at her without the clothes to know I made the right choice of romancing her. I go with her to Withers to respect her, but apparently I respect only her head because her whole body is missing. For now, I made her almost like Gale, but with a twist of giving her dual wielder so she will wield Blood of Lathander and something other in second hand later. During sleep, my abomination becomes sexy and starts to look like a cow with all these white spots on their body. She talks again about some fight, but we just go to sleep again. And talking from experience, now is the time to take a bunch of zero camp supplies long rest to get a lot of cutscenes, just like the one I've been waiting for. Our delightful butler has appeared again and tasked us with killing this beautiful lady of Seluna. I go to fiddle with the strange ox a while and find a dying artist that's in a dire need of help. I try to save him, but he doesn't seem to respond to my musical symphonies. We go with a rather strange and totally justified combo of 2 backpacks, 1 pouch to the trader, and with totally legal strategy without breaking any of the trader's conventions. I put on the stuff I quote-unquote stole and went to talk with the bald-ass Wulbrand, who isn't really friendly and talkative. At least he pays in gold. I refuse to drink with Jaheira and head for my target upstairs. But we are unfortunately intercepted by the Jesus who saved us earlier. I tell him I don't need him, but he sticks his fucking nose into my business. I pushed the urge to carve her body out on the balcony to make quick friends with killing of Marcus. I warn her about him, and together we stand against Marcus and his ghouls. I slash and cut the ghouls and Marcus, but with the Ayeee of a warrior stripped to a fucking potato, Isabel almost dies in the fight, but we manage to erase the ghouls before they land the final blow. When the last undeads are finished, Jaheira storms into the room to check if everyone is alive. We chat a bit with the cleric, and for a little time I felt bad for killing her. I couldn't wait more to close the door and completely rip her heart out of her chest. With her death, the whole last light inn falls down, and we deceive Jaheira that it was totally an accident and she fell out of the window or something. I spent the next 15 minutes erasing the rest of the harpers that turned into cursed ones and giant dildos coming out from the ground. Jaheira also helped by casting Ice Storm and then covered by changing into a panther. I raised the toast to the death of Isabel, and Jaheira wanted to erase me from this world, but her janky ass crumbled before me when I intimidated her. I talked to every of my party babies to hear what they think of me killing her, but they weren't very bothered by my decisions. I took a long rest as I was so ready for my grand prize. When the Jew came and showed me my new skin, I got musical goosebumps as it was just so pretty. A Slayer form, maybe not so musical itself, but by looking at it, and that it's still Wolfgang, and it's embracing the rule number 2, which is being the most evil, I guess it's justified. I use it in many cases. Before leaving the camp, Scratch comes and gives us some smelly sandals he found somewhere. But we still pet him, for how good boy he is. And I also gave the saucy dagger for Minthara. Our company stored everything valuable in the last light inn and its graveyard, and made way, somewhere, because a flock of birds stopped us, but they got exploded very fast. We wandered further into the dark, killing another Viet Cong ambushers that also inherited self-exploding tactics. In the far dark, we found he who was, but who he is, or what he has, I have no fucking idea. He gave a quest about finding some ledger, which, spoiler, I forget to give him later on. I walked for around 20 minutes or so trying to find anything and anyone in this cursed fucking lands, but unfortunately I only lost time by doing so. Or did I? I found another Vietnamese people hiding in the woods, but this time I was the one ambushing them. I placed my people on the positions and started the fight. I somehow managed to get them all into one place, just like in the ending of FNAF 6. After using thousands of boarding inspirations, spirit guardians and Wolfgang's true skin, we destroyed the 3 people, showing them that nature doesn't in fact always prevail. And then we find a useless fucking ring, but I guess it was worth it for the XP. Continuing the journey, we found yet another ambushers, which we managed to ambush ourselves, with them garroting our necks and not letting me fucking move and have disadvantage, but finally I am able to erase them from the Sword Coast. And was the loot worth it? No, I didn't fucking think so, cause I'm not really using any fucking radiant damage, cause I am true to my music. So again, the XP is what matters. At this point I was flattered as to what am I supposed to do. Since I ain't got no Moon Lantern, I can't go deep into Shadowlands, and I have Minthara with me, so I can't get into Moonrise. But to my surprise, no one really cared that I was walking everywhere with a prisoner that was about to be murdered in prison just 5 minutes ago. I deterred to donate my blood to poor Drow, who apparently wanted to bite Astarion, but he pussied out. After that, we paid a visit to Disciple Zrel, who tasked us with recovering the Night Song. We go into Balthazar's chamber, get the moonlight, snuff in his books, revive zombies by accident, clear them, and then my party looted the secret chamber where a cowboy hat was hidden that we gladly took. Unfortunately, Gale isn't accompanying us at the time, so I can't create the Moon Lantern which summons the shadow. But to be honest, I don't think I need it. I'm just too lazy to go and get Gale. After the thievery, we venture out into the dark lands. To be honest, because we're playing bards, I feel like this boss rush goes on so fast, since the mighty 3 I need to annihilate are easily destroyable by throwing right dices. So to start off with the first, the Lady of Gold called Gering of Thorn. Wolfgang throws out first dices that she can leave with the gold, and when she says that this gold is not for hers but for the toll, Wolfgang simply intimidates her so fucking hard that her big, fat, greasy, slimy and made out of gold ass explodes on the spot, rewarding us with a bunch of gold, pass to the lower city and a morning star, which I will probably never fucking use. Then the party loots the rest of the toll house, in which we find a good pair of gloves. Next stop on the way to the Sharon Temple is the tavern with the most distinguished gentleman I have ever met. I sit down next to him and finally enjoy a good drink after everything I have been through. After having to use some buffs to drink the mixture from Thisobald, we stand strong like never before, whilst Thisobald overdrinks himself, sending himself to an eternal sleep. I loot his entire cavern that was behind him, loot few clubs and a ledger that he who has, or will, or be, was supposed to get. Hopefully he'll get what he needs. After all this, my party levels up again. I give out a bunch of abilities and everyone in the party gets the alert feat. Heading out of the tavern, we adventure north, making a little stop by shadows that try to take us down, but they perish as they try to listen to the tunes my mates and I are singing. Ah, the love ballads, the sharp swords sounds, they are all so beautiful. Before I get to the nursing home, I wander into the Masons Guild sewers where I find loot, traps and some history about all this, which I don't fucking care about. Deeper in the mansion's basement we fight a bunch of shadows, although the clear light from the blood of Lathander that Minthara is holding makes it so that the shadows get a bunch of disadvantages, and in general, they suck dick! The loot we get for the shadows is in my opinion... not that great for this run. I slip out of this establishment and get to some kind of graveyard. On the graveyard, everything is pretty dead. We loot bunch of little temples and get close to Sharon Temple, where a familiar face is nearby and offers Astarion a deal, which we take because we're going to kill Jurgir whatsoever. And if Astarion wants his dick bigger, then sure, why not? We don't go to the temple that fast though. There are a few other temples I loot and go to find the nursery. I first trade with a semi-trader that happens to sell a bunch of poisons. We ignore her deals and head to the master surgeon. And the third boss in the Darklands goes out by having the nurses perform a rather not Geneva conventionally friendly surgery on him, letting him die. I then proceed to take the most valuable loot from him, which is the loot, of course. I get out of this butchery and surprise a bunch of goats with the hard sound of my loot. After all these enemies were dealt with, I took a long rest and I headed to the entrance of Sharon Temple. I opened a bunch of chests lying around and failed the fucking puzzle like 10 fucking times. When I finally finished it, I headed onward to the lower part of the temple. Downstairs, I decided to just use a scroll to press the button. I had no fucking nerves to try and solve it. We move onward, but get stopped by some crackling bones that waffle that we awoke in the shadows. We easily get rid of all of the Sharon cultists and romance the skeletons to let us through. And I don't know why in all 4 of the runs I made, I always go for the Umbral gems first before going to Balthazar. And I don't know if it makes any difference, but whatever. I let Shadowheart make all of the trials, and right now and right here I want to say fuck you, the Faith Leap trial, as they've ended my first honor run I made about 2 weeks ago. But as you see, I got the golden dices on my second, so but yeah. Fuck Leap trial! We cleared the library fairly quickly and got the spear that we will stake through Nightsong's heart just in a moment. We pissed off from the library cause who the fuck reads books nowadays? Probably some Gale enjoyers who are a bunch of nerds whatsoever. I'm kidding, books are awesome, please don't kill me. After that, we had to deal with Raphael's enemy, who is a first big roadblock in this challenge. So now brace yourselves, cause there was a lot of fucking reloading. The first time, I wanted to face him normally. You know, cutscene and all to make it even. Even though we go first, you know, we deal a casual amount of maybe 1/8 of his whole fucking HP. And now it's his turn and it's 20 minutes, so I watched it unravel like, yep, I'm probably gonna be here a fucking while. Surprisingly, the first time we didn't get annihilated and it actually went well, but I fucked up some turns and ate the dirt the first time. Next tries, I wanted to surprise them and kill the little goblins first, but it didn't fucking work, and in the next 10 fucking tries, he almost either always go first, shoots me in the fucking eye, throws bombs at me like some terrorist, and then goes fucking invisible on top of that. And guess what? The eye that Astarion had? No, it doesn't mean jack fucking shit. I was so fucking frustrated at this moment that when I killed Jurgir, I had a very iffy situation. I popped Inviscroll on Minthara and ran like, maybe not a coward, but more like Volu. With Minthara escaping this hell, she resurrected us all and we finished them off later. I TP'd out of this shithole and was finally ready to beat the fat-ass Balthazar. But before him, we took out another pack of cultists and headed into his chambers. He talks about the artifacts, blah blah, and tells us that we should be the ones to do it for him. We make him give us his bell, which is useless by now, because we've done the trials. Before Wolfgang goes for the night songs, he robs Balthazar's place again, and then goes down to some kind of rat cult that doesn't do anything apparently. I take one quick rest before we descend into Nightsong's realm, and then we dive in. We jump down and don't let the fat-ass kill her, so the battle commences. And you know, the fight is technically easy, always flies out of the rocks and dies to gravity. I wanted it to be a bit difficult now. To be honest, I don't know if it was a good idea, since I would have saved me so much time and nerves, but it is what it is. The attempt that worked the best was having Wolfgang transform into Slayer and rip out hearts from everybody, whilst Balthazar kept killing my comrades. And as I am a good companion, I give Shadowheart pleasure of killing Dame Aylin and making her a dark justiciar, but because I'm a jackass and care so much for romance in this game, I accidentally made her my lover, so I had to redo the Balthazar fight again. After this course of events, I wanted to make Shadowheart use her new gear, so I respect her into College of Valor. Gave ability improvement and alert feat, and some spells to enhance her frontlining. Then I made Minthara into College of Lore, because we needed a buffer, and she also has such good cutting word codes and her soul branding, so it's justifiable. Now was the time of storming the Moonrise. Disciples Rel and her minions was no real threat, and the same with the people that were inside of the Moonrise. I also made a real quick detour to get the ring that I won't be blinded by Shadowheart's darkness. Second floor goes as easy as the first, which results in me erasing every single soul that was standing in the Moonrise Towers. I'm not counting Catherick, of course, for now. Being brave, I went into the boss fight without long resting again, because my ballsack is that big. And you remember Carnis, yeah? The spider we didn't kill earlier? Yeah. He joins Catherick, but one quick thunderwave sends him to sleep. Overall, Shadowheart becoming a Dark Justiciar made this run so much harder, cause we don't get her here, nor in the next boss fight. First try didn't go as planned, but we managed to defeat him on the second try with the most basic tactics of cutting him to death. And now the calm before the storm part. We fight some cultists that said they know us, I put Chop out of his misery, and I plan to kill every single mind consumer that was on the ship. Not for the XP, just for fun. Fight against zombies go really well cause we just blast them to bits with thunder. I then have to use my expanded and autistic brain to solve a puzzle and use Githrai to buff myself forever. And then the pain comes. It is time for boss fight. Up until this point, my raw footage took 11 hours. And I see that in the next 3 hours, it's just me trying every possible fucking mechanic and buff and every fucking thing to kill the boss. So here is a great example how I wanted to start most fights. Although first I wanted to trade normally and failed horribly. I then tried one of the tactics of sitting in the darkness and luring as much of them as possible to kill 7 birds with 1 stone. And it might work, but it never got the fucking mind flayer chilling on the upper level. The problem with this strategy was that after my turn, he would always fucking stun me. And not only me, the whole fucking party with 1 mind blast. I was always watching this fucker fly and screamed, yes please, stun me, I'm fucking begging. And if he didn't stun all, he stunned Minthara, who had concentration of haste on Wolfgang, which made him fucking lethargic. The other idea was to go from the different side to buy as much time possible before he joins in and clear the Necromites. No, he comes here in 2 fucking turns because his baying Jet 757 ass pours vodka instead of oil to make the engine go so fucking fast, and he again lands a fucking stun on me. I even somehow get to surprise Catherick and everyone, and the Necromites were yeeted off the plane of existence. Sadly didn't work. I tried to TP Shadowheart behind the Mind Flayer to throw him down and assassinate him. Kinda worked, but didn't survive second phase. Guess fucking why. I check what does he have resistance against, and I see every fucking resistance to slashing and piercing damage. And what damage I have? Slashing and fucking piercing. The Slayer form does nothing at this point, my swords do nothing. What can I fucking do? The only way I dealt damage was the Thunder Wave glyphs. The problem with them is that they're limited, and he often makes a save against them because I'm just so fucking unlucky. At this point I was so mentally drained, I punched my keyboard way too many times. But then there was the run. I killed Catherick as fast as I could near the entrance of the fight, and ran as far as I could when his second phase came to life. That was to make him pull us not that much into him. Mainly using the glyphs first half of his HP and thunder waving the incubating skellies, it goes fairly okay. But then my spellstars are no more. Wolfgang then drank Invis potion in 1 turn and then ran from Miracle to drink the only potion of angelic slumber I had after very stressful 2 turns and almost making me go grey haired. Wolfgang wakes up better than ever and starts casting the thunder again. I confidently say that I was happy when Astarion died because I knew I could have used the scroll that Gale gave us and he was also back as new. In this fight Shadowheart also got Connor to take few hits from either Miracle or the Necromites, and after thundering him for a few years and using every single resource, he finally fucking dies. I leave the computer as the cutscene with the Dream Protector starts cause I just needed to take a breath. In the high hall, I let Minthara sit on the throne and let her waffle for a bit. We take one last long rest before killing the Githyanki on the gate, and during that long rest, Minthara becomes our soulmate forever. We kill the Giths on the bridge and head on to Baldur's Gate. And as I think technically Act 2 already ended here, I'll set the monk fight in here too, which in quick words goes very smoothly. Slayer form does its job and the other baboons finish the monks. And by the way, I didn't even question the Emperor since we ourselves are very into tadpoles. So when he offers the astral tadpole careful, I let every single one of my company use it. And now the confirmation that we are in Act 3 is the kiss from Minthara. Let's get to the slaughter then, shall we? But before the killing starts, I need to organize my fucking inventory as the gentle and kind friend Soul Cleric instructed me to do so. So I spent like fucking 30 minutes organizing the piles of shit I had in my inventories, which ended up in me having all the coatings and arrows. Minthara had scrolls since she was the bard mage, Shadowheart got all elixirs and pots, and Astarion got, well, a bunch of food. And I also go through all of inventories and items because I felt like ending Act 2 was a bit harsh for my liking. So now the butchery begins, and it starts with me telling the poor little ginger who lost their mother to fuck off or I will rip her fucking head off with my bare hands. And of course I get supported by Minthara in it. Next thing we do is go on a stride to the circus, but when Benji sniffs Mozart and smells all the crimes and atrocities we have committed on our way here, I have to deceive him that I am the next bard who is gonna play in the circus. You know, some kind of tunes here and there. But I quickly change my mind and go resolve the problem with refugees in Arthur's house. He pays some dudes to take me out instead, but I turn into Agent 47 and shred their bodies. I then go to Arthur's basement and find a bunch of exploding toys that almost blows up the whole party like 3 or 4 times. And when I confronted him about it, he bursted out trying to kill me. I was forced to use self-defense to not let this criminal take my Batman's action down. I will watch over Baldur's Gate like Batman does over Gotham now, and hopefully clear out the bad going from the city. In my father's name, of course. Then our party goes to the circus to talk with few interesting guys in there. For example, the mummy that sells actually maybe good face paints, for sure funny ones, a genie that keeps on cheating in the jackpot wheel, but by being a very intelligent vampire spawn, Astarion notices that the wheel is rigged and rips out a biological bomb of a fart that suffocates the magic of genie, sending us back to the dinosaur era. Luckily Astarion sneaks through all of them, collects the legendary weapon that is useless for this run, and gets back to the normal realm. And I try to rob him and get my money back, but my lord got angered so much I had to put him down and his minions to eternal sleep. Unfortunately, his party consisted of the mummy and an NPC that I didn't even get to meet in this playthrough, and I think his name was Boney or something, the mud method that would have built a giant statue of my balls in the camp. Oh my god, I'm choking. Nearly choked on my water there. This whole show gave my party a level up, and I gave folk spells and magical secrets. Then Mozart and Minthara go to the loving lady of, well, love, that will determine if we're actually in love with each other. She told us that our love was almost true and straight. After that she turned into orange red and teased us a bit. I then played some tunes with the coppery bard dragon next to us and gave Shadowheart her level up. We then moved to Papu, the friendliest and fanciest red kobold in Baldur's Gate. He offered us a bunch of mixtures which we, you know, loaned for a bit without paying a penny. Then a master of the undead caught my attention, but when I saw how she treated the poor skellies, I decided to let all of them have their eternal peace they deserve. When everyone was tucked in bed and mirroring, our performers made their way to the main stage, where a stupid fucking clown was dropping some of the worst jokes heard by mankind. But before that, I fed one of the dinosaurs, cause you know, animals are awesome. When on stage, he told the fattest joke of them all and said, so I praised when they chopped his fucking head off and cleared off the rest of the Muppets. We then snuck through the graveyard and onto the roof of a church or something and scared off Gale's cat to get letters instead. I went down into the church to be said by some celestial flying elephant that someone was murdered, and if we can find the one who did it. Oh, he doesn't know what awaits him in the near future. We then went into a well, but well, we didn't find anything interesting there. But we find some interesting armor and weapons at the store that is managed by a dragon that's name looks like I would pass out on my keyboard and press all of the buttons at once. So we made again a trade conventionally friendly bargain of me getting everything for free. I then wanted to trade another dude, but he appeared to be Orin again. Then I talked with Strange Ox, but he didn't want my help, so I just fucked off. And I went to another trader who had a foul mouth to Shadowheart, so I completely he, again, stripped his shop off of any worth items. I traveled through some refugees and killed a hobo illithid in a mill. Then the Gur people are salty about Astarion, but they struck a deal with him that he will end the Cazador's regime. Then it was time to get through the guards, and as if in normal playthrough, there would be goblins. Oh, sorry. Gnomes with Wulbren on its front, standing the machine and the guards, but I don't know why they didn't pop up now. Especially as I don't remember if I killed Wulbren in Act 2 or not. So I had to fight them, and the robot with guards were a bit tough, but we get them on the second try. We take a long rest after the fight, and Queen Vlakith shows up, but I so don't care about these fucking frog people's problems. I just let them talk and don't give a fuck. I then visit the Emperor in the Astral Prism and he says some shit and I go back to bed. And yet again, I take a bunch of long rests without camp supplies to get cutscenes. Like this for example, a prophecy that tells us that we will triumph over Orin whilst in the Slayer form. After all the long rest, I tried to find Gnome's hideout, but I just fucking couldn't. I think they're just dead or something. Instead of finding their hideout, I found some ballists in a cave with a list of murder. I then went to a beach for a tent since you know, it's summer. But I saw that there was some problem and I wanted to resolve the problem peacefully, but they just didn't like it and bricked my fucking computer. And I mean literally, my computer was fucking bricked. I needed to press the button to close my fucking computer. When I put it up again, I went straight in and killed every single fucking one of them. And after I did, I opened a barrel where I saw jackpot of the tasty worms I like to snack upon, so I ate them. With pleasure. We returned to Shares's caress and got turned into a sheep for some reason. The receptionist wants me to find out what happened to her friend. I spot a lovely bard, a dancing lady, and two lovers that offer us entertainment. And as much as I would like to go, Minthara clearly states that she will cut my throat if I do so. Although I wander into some cute couple about to make quote-unquote love, but we luckily intercept it as one of them is working for the Absolute. She waffles something and we go to the devil's room where a frogman is sucking him off. Raphael again offers Mozart a deal, but we just deny it. We talk with a bunch of NPCs and find some info about the girl, the receptionist, and she offers us a free entertainment with one of the drows. After all that, another merchant gets robbed by us, and I find the first piece of the kit I will change in that is in fact this harmonic dueler that will make itself much more powerful by the charisma Mozart has. So again, I had to fucking respect him and get a shield as he will be wielding a rapier now and use finesse weapons. And we deceive the frogman that we did a deal with Raphael so that we get the legendary swords that I can literally throw in the trash because I don't fuck with Githyanki. Fuck these frog people. The quartet makes its way onto the bridge, shows the pass and we get moving. Steel Watchers invite us to the coronation, but again, I wanted to hunt an achievement of killing the prick without setting off any traps. But I have to disable the whole fucking Steel Watch foundry first to trigger Gortars to be aggressive. Thus, I go into the actual city. In the city, I get a calling to immediately visit our grandfather. But the doors don't let me in. Let me in! So I murdered the rats for the chef and get to the Emperor's old home that we steal everything from and kill some frogmen on the way. Then heading to sewers, Lae'zel runs out of a smelly room and transforms into Orin, who invites us to a duel after we kill Gortash. Then we read another victim from the murder list and rescue Korra. And then we get invited to the murder tribunal. We get told by our grandfather about our story and blah blah blah, we need to slay Orin. Mozart then offs the celestial elephant and becomes an unholy assassin of Baal. In these ruins is the second gem of my build and probably the most important. The Ballist armor. It gives vulnerability to piercing damage to everyone who is in melee range of me. So this combined with the harmonic dueler, it will create a rather unholy damage paired with, for example, Luck of the Far Realms. Now we await the third and last gem for this build. I bought things normally from the church because I would never rob saints, and I head on to Sorcerer's Sundries for the last part of the build, the birthright that spikes charisma to 22. So stay with me now. Harmonic dueler that does piercing damage, that scales off of charisma, that is boosted up to 22 by birthright that will deal literally like 50 plus damage with a normal attack in a single hit whilst providing vulnerability to piercing, so also Astarion and Shadowheart will deal extra damage. You with me? Also I stole some spells from Lon cause fuck him. I take long rest before going to Loroakan and in sleep Emperor is making some moves on me. And I let my temptations win cause it's another achievement. I exquisitely suck on his big tentacles and we get caught in the end, but he reassures that no one will remember it. And actually no one knows, because when we wake up no one seems to care about it. We then go to Leroy Camp, tell him about nice song, buff ourselves and delve into battle. And you know, the first hit is big, but he retaliates and completely shoves his dick in my ass, exploding me on the spot. But then you can see how Astarion flourishes his health down in a single hit. After we finish the elementals and go to drop his vaults. And then not to worry with it, but in short, my rock elemental destroyed every chest because I had only few lockpicks, but I stole every book and spell there was. Then Astarion opened further parts of Necromancy of Day and got ooh Macarena. Then we looted Marco Heshkir and the useless rope. Minthara gets the stick and we go to save the most important ally in this game for us. And coincidentally there is Stillwatch Foundry next to us that we eradicate all the robots inside from. Gondians in there told us that they will help if we rescue the loved ones, so unfortunately I have to wait with Gortash. After long rest I go way deeper into the foundry, exploding the machines until I get onto the Stillwatch Titan. I spawn the ghouls from Astarion and mainly all the damage comes from chain lightning from Minthara's backpack. And he's about to blow himself up, Minthara disintegrates his shield and we finish him off. I then go to water people to get their quest and we swim to the prison with Gondians. Before I open the hatch, I dashed with everyone to rescue every Gondian there is. In just few turns, I fly everywhere and get everyone to safety. I think, at least, I don't know. And I don't even really bother about the fishes there. When we swim back, the Mother Weave rewards us and we help the Gondians one last time after we blew up the foundry with their nuclear bomb. Then I go back before the bridge and the guards don't even care that the machines next to them just blew up. We fly around the whole castle to get Gortash without the traps. And when I prepare fully and spawn my summons, I let Gortash into my trap. And even though I goofed my attacks and turns so fucking much, like look at this. Literally I attacked nothingness, I shot arrows at this bubble or simply used the luck of the far realms on a rock elemental instead of Gortash. I still kill him pretty fast, especially when my first proper attack dealt 90 damage, and then when it's Astarion's turn he casually throws 4 critical attacks, all of them doing massive damage to Gortash. Shadowheart then finishes what we started and we clear off the peasants with a slayer for the achievement. After this fight we get last level possible in the game. I give Sentinel Feet, Savage Attacker, Warcaster, and for some reason I give ability improvement for myself even though I had 22 charisma already and I didn't even realize it until now. And I also had to get Hireling because I had some fucking curse for some reason. After all fights that were behind us I had the musical urge to play music for citizens and refugees of Baldur's Gate, and totally not because I wanted to get another achievement. Then my footage got corrupted and I basically spawned in the Cazador's castle. We get the key and the ring to enter his palace. You know, wolves and vampires spawn dice quickly and we descend into the actual Cazador's lair. Astarion talks about his gay fetishes with Sebastian, party buffed up, spawned elementals, dashed, and we were ready to beat him. Or so I thought, because he stole my precious Astarion for his ritual and I didn't make it in my first turn to rescue him. And at the same time Cazador went fully into my backline, killing Minthara and having me stunned for another like 8 fucking turns or something. So the second time I managed to get in the first round, good use of Mind Sanctuary, Slayer form and AoE spells with the annoying fucking Misty escape. It was harder to hit him, but when we did, oof, his health diminished. And let's say I needed to use the so-called jihadi tactics. But it was worth it because we allowed Astarion to ascend to become the mightiest vampire spawn to ever exist. And now imagine that after all that vampire fight, some ghouls wanted to take us down. You can just imagine how that went. As we have ascended Astarion, now is the time to make Shadowheart reach her potential. I remember this fight being so fucking difficult when I played it on my save, so I wanted to prepare myself a lot. Nope. Turned out when you sacrifice Night Song, you can orchestrate a coup against Viconia and kill her with ease. We were literally like 20 against her, so I was kinda disappointed. We then killed parents of Shadowheart to embrace her devotion to Shar. I equipped her shield and we head onwards to Fireworks Shop and we clear all of them and get to the basement and we almost get exploded by the complete multitude and shitload of fireworks in the fucking basement. Then a quick detour to clear off the beaches and help either Thrambo or Mystic Carrion. Carrion. And but because Thrumbro is so stinky, I help him instead of Mr. Carrion. So I needed to get to the fucking sewers to find his innards in a jar. We cleared the graveyard and destroyed the jar, including the one in Thrumbo's innards. After jars are exploded, we go to unalive the unalived already, Mr. Carrier, that goes out with ease. As we have ascended Astarion and deepened Shadowheart's devotion to Shar, and Mentara is already my lover, the final stone in my infinity gauntlet is me committing to my father's orders. So Baal's temple is our only way from it. I drink Invis potion and Astarion casts Greater Invis to avoid bunch of traps and kill the red spirit. We get to the glyph and head on to the door of Baal's temple. Our beautiful butler is waiting there and opens the door for us. Orin waits for us there with her ritual, but before we fight, I of course buff myself as much as I can, because we don't want to lose this duel. But again, when I saw how much damage I did in my first turn and my second attack, I think I was a bit too prepared, you know, or at least for the tactician one. And when it's her turn, I managed to charm her to make it even more easy. So I did, like the prophecy said, and I completely eviscerated her in the Slayer form. Unluckily, by winning this duel, our favorite Jew is sacrificed for Baal, and when we stand before a choice of either redeeming myself or drowning the world in blood, I obviously follow in the footsteps of my father to fulfill the prophecy and unleash slaughter upon this world. I give orange weapons to Astarion to make even more damage, but before going to the actual brain, I have few business. For example, I wanted to help the hag and have her on my side, but I don't know what the fuck I clicked and fucked up dialogue. So I both killed Vanra, Laura and the hag, and I didn't get her as my ally. Whoops! I guess more slaughter for Baal. And the other one is in Hells, but this stupid midget doesn't want to help me to get into because I don't have money. So I had to remove her from this world in order to get there. House of Hope. Never actually been there. I've never fought Raphael in my 4 or 5 playthroughs now, but I guess there is always the first time, right? Unless we are talking about Harlep, there will never be the first time. I went to the archive to get the invitation to Harlep to then be able to get the hammer and free Hope. I don't get tempted by Harlep and I kill him. That gives me the scroll to get the hammer, and after that the whole house turns against us. We have to bring death upon every single one of them and free Hope. I get to kill my most hated enemies in the game for the last time and free Hope. But with her being so fucking annoying, I just want to throw her off the cliff from this fucking house. I go to bathe in Eagle's water a few times and head to the final boss of this house, Raphael, and Yoge on his side. That actually joins our side since we have plus 16 to 34 with advantage on this persuasion check. And before the fight starts, I want to say that this music is a total banger for this fight. In fact, I even added it to my Spotify playlist. I managed to stun a lot of them with one Mind Blast and use elementals to take down the pillars and use multum of AoE spells to take the little minions down. When he finally wakes up from all of the stuns and dances, he transcends into some kind of demon, literally from the deepest hell, and pukes fire under himself, burning my guys to crisp. We get out of the fire and take down the pillars and use Mind Sanctuary to have so much advantage against him, whilst also stunning him again with Mind Blast. When he woke up, he killed every ghoul I had and elementals. So it was only us, Hope and Yoge against the devil Raphael himself. Hope healed us and the Slayer form did its thing and slain the Archdevil. Yoge made friends with us for the final fight and I equipped the Helldusk armor on Mentara. There was only one way for us now, the way to the brain. We rode to the pool, killed the mind consumers, and we go with Emperor to dominate the brain. But as you know, it doesn't go too well for the first time. So we let Emperor eat Orpheus's brain, cause I ain't becoming a mind flayer and I don't want no frog people near me. So we side with Emperor and are stopped by Keithrag Voss for the final time. We persuade him to join us against the Nether Brain and we meet the literally handful of allies in the High Hall. 2 of which are our companions. One is Yoge and our grandfather, and of course our musician Volo. Before heading out though, I talked with the second most distinguished Red Kobold that is so excited for the battle ahead. We just have to make sure we won't die. I organized my elixirs, coatings and arrows, paint the faces of my companions, kiss Minthara with a French kiss for good luck, and we head off. The party tries to sneak through but gets intercepted by some bollocks. Most of them are goblins though, so they pose no threat. When we get through the main gate, we run through left left side of the brain stem. We fly across everyone and make it to the final step for the final battle. But I don't know why there wasn't a pool of regeneration, so I used potions of angelic slumber on everyone to get a long rest. Our quartet makes it up the top and gets mocked by the brain. But I mean, judging by how we look, I would do that too. We summon the Astarion's army, and the overall goal for the fight is to get to the brain as fast as we can. Well, the plan doesn't go that well, since I piled up all of my guys and they all got stunned or silenced. The peons tried to attack the dragon and take their reaction. The next step I wanted to make was the globe of invulnerability, but I was fucking silenced, so I killed the guy who silenced me and was like, okay, now I can be safe. Nuh-uh. We in fact get stunned again. The dragon's breath attack then almost ends my whole party and also stuns the emperor, so I place another globe of invulnerability. And to be safe, I made even third one, but when emperor's turn comes, the portal opens, so we all dip the fuck out of there. When being in the brain, this fight turns out to have one of the weirdest endings I could even imagine. You know, the whole fight goes well. We do a solid damage and we also get down a few times, you know, the classic. But the ending of this has Wolfgang as the Slayer jump to reposition himself on the same platform, but he of course glitches through the matrix and starts to float in the brain's phlegma or whatever the fuck that is. At least I got a few nice screenshots of the Mind Flayer in the background. And when I switched the form, because I couldn't reach the brain with Slayer form on some fucking phlegma or whatever the fuck he was standing on, I bardically inspire myself to shoot the brain to the death. And when the Emperor is about to destroy the brain once and for all, oh my god, it's happening, and releasing every living Mind Flayer and infected illithid from the pain that is tormenting them. We stick a knife in him like a Michael Myers fashion, as their father tell us to do. We take the throne of the brain to command it to eternal slaughter under Mutter's command with Mentara on our side. And in whose name?
In Baal's name.